The 1970s kitchen was a laboratory of innovation and sometimes questionable judgment. As America embraced automation and space-age technology, manufacturers rushed to electrify every possible kitchen task, creating a wave of appliances that promised to revolutionize home cooking, but often ended up collecting dust in cupboards across the country. From the Coney Island steamer to the ubiquitous avocado green electric ice crushers that made more noise than crushed ice, these gadgets reflected an era obsessed with modernizing every aspect of domestic life. Not every invention from the past was a stroke of genius, and few proved that better than the Coney Island steamer. Marketed as a must-have kitchen gadget, this oddly specific appliance was designed solely to steam hot dogs and buns. That's it. No versatility, no innovation, just hot dogs, steamed with an awkward hum of electricity and a reservoir of water. At first glance, it seemed like a novelty worth trying. It promised convenience, a carnival-style experience right on your countertop. But once the excitement wore off, reality set in. A simple pot of boiling water did the same job faster, cheaper, and without hogging valuable counter space. Worse, yet it couldn't cook anything else. Consumers quickly caught on, and the steamer's popularity evaporated almost as fast as its water reservoir. Today, spotting one feels like stumbling onto an artifact of kitchen optimism, a reminder that not every time-saving gadget earned its keep. The Coney Island steamer may have had charm, but in the end, practicality won out. It looked futuristic, fun, and ready to revolutionize snack time. But the 1970s popcorn maker was more form than function. As popcorn surged in popularity, companies like Hamilton Beach saw an opportunity to create a countertop device dedicated solely to popping corn. It promised movie theater magic at home, complete with butter trays and a glowing plastic dome that turned a basic snack into a spectacle. In reality, it was bulky, awkward to clean, and offered little advantage over the simplicity of a pot with oil or the growing convenience of microwave popcorn. The novelty wore off quickly. What once sat proudly on kitchen counters often found its final resting place in the back of cupboards, collecting dust alongside other over-engineered one-hit wonders. This appliance now stands as a retro curiosity, a reminder that while design can sell, it's utility that keeps something around. In the end, simpler methods popped better results, and the popcorn maker faded quietly into nostalgic obscurity. It promised self-sufficiency, savings, and snackable slices of dried fruit. But the electric food dehydrator often delivered more noise than nourishment. Popularized in the 1970s, this appliance aimed to modernize the ancient art of food preservation by stripping moisture from fruits, vegetables, and meats using heated air and stacked plastic trays. The concept sounded smart. The execution? Not always. Despite the space-age look, results were hit or miss. Drying times varied wildly. Slices shriveled unevenly. And let's not forget the droning hum that filled kitchens for hours. What started as a fun experiment often ended in disappointment, with users giving up halfway and turning back to traditional methods like canning or simply storing items in the freezer. Eventually, the bulky machines were pushed aside, taking up space but rarely earning it. For many, the dehydrator became a classic example of a gadget that tried to solve a problem that didn't really exist, or at least one that didn't need solving quite like this. Homemade pasta sounds romantic until you add a tangle of wires and clunky attachments into the mix. The electric pasta maker was marketed as the future of Italian cooking, promising to automate the rolling, cutting, and shaping of fresh pasta dough. But for many home cooks, it ended up being more of a hassle than a help. Compared to the simplicity of classic hand crank machines, these electric models felt overly complicated. Setup was a chore, cleaning was worse, and the final product often lacked the texture and consistency achieved through manual rolling. What was meant to save time often introduced frustration, and a machine that took up more cabinet space than it deserved. Over time, the traditional tools it tried to replace proved their staying power. With fewer parts, better control, and a hands-on feel, the old-fashioned pasta roller outshined its flashy electric counterpart. Today, the electric pasta maker lives on more as a curiosity than a culinary essential, a well-intentioned invention that couldn't outdo tradition. At first glance, the rotisserie oven felt like bringing the magic of a deli counter straight into your kitchen. With its glowing heating element and slowly spinning meat, it promised juicy, evenly roasted meals that looked like they came from a professional kitchen. But while the results could be impressive, the effort behind them often wasn't worth it. These ovens were large, taking up more space than most countertops could comfortably offer. And though watching the meat rotate was oddly hypnotic, the reality of cleanup quickly broke the spell. Grease splatter, difficult to reach parts, and a bulky frame that didn't fit easily into any cabinet made it more of a burden than a blessing. Some home cooks swore by them, proudly roasting chickens for special dinners. But for most, the rotisserie oven became a once-in-a-while novelty, used a few times, then pushed to the back of the pantry. In the end, it was a product of ambition that couldn't quite justify its everyday place in the kitchen. The salad shooter arrived with the promise of turning vegetable prep into a fast, effortless task. With its quirky name and compact design, it quickly found a spot on kitchen counters across America. Toss in a carrot or zucchini, and with the ici et before press of a button, it shredded or sliced directly into your bowl. No cutting board required. For soft veggies and basic salads, it worked well enough. But when faced with tougher produce or irregular shapes, the results were often uneven, messy, and occasionally frustrating. Cleanup proved to be another issue. With multiple detachable parts and sharp inserts, washing the salad shooter was anything but convenient, especially compared to a quick swipe of a knife and cutting board. Despite its enthusiasm and late-night infomercial fame, the device struggled to become essential. It was handy, yes, but only for a narrow set of tasks. Eventually, it joined the ranks of single-use gadgets, not entirely useless, but rarely missed once packed away. It sounded like a dream. Make your own soda at home whenever you wanted. The original Soda Stream machine hit the market with high hopes of turning every kitchen into a personal soda fountain. But between its awkward design, limited flavors, and inconsistent carbonation, the excitement often fizzled out faster than the drinks it made. Using it felt more like a science experiment than a simple refreshment routine. Users had to guess the right amount of carbonation, often ending up with either flat soda or explosive overflows. Add in the high cost of refills and syrups that tasted far from the real thing, and the novelty quickly lost its shine. Modern versions have since perfected the formula, sleeker, more reliable, and easier to use. But the original models, they've earned their spot as clunky relics of domestic optimism. Ambitious, yes, but rarely missed. In a time when multifunction gadgets were all the rage, the electric can opener and knife sharpener combo looked like a futuristic kitchen essential. Why settle for one task when a single machine could do both? That was the pitch, and for a brief moment, it worked. Home cooks were intrigued by the promise of convenience packed into one chrome-finished device. But in practice, this combo tool was often more frustrating than functional. The can opener mechanism could be temperamental, struggling with dented or oddly sized cans. The built-in sharpener sounded useful, but rarely delivered professional results. And its bulky size meant it demanded precious counter space, while under-delivering on performance. As sleeker, more efficient tools entered the scene, this hybrid appliance slowly faded from kitchens. Today, it serves as a reminder that combining two jobs into one doesn't always double the usefulness. Sometimes it just doubles the disappointment. With its sleek angles and humming motor, the electric ice crusher promised a touch of luxury to home entertaining. It was designed to deliver perfectly crushed ice for cocktails and chilled drinks. No more smashing cubes in a towel or wrestling with stubborn trays. For hosts dreaming of a more upscale experience, it seemed like a small but impressive upgrade. But despite its charm, the machine often proved more trouble than triumph. Loud, bulky, and limited in function, it took up counters space while offering little beyond what a mallet or blender could already do. And while it delivered crushed ice, it rarely justified the cleanup and noise that came with it. Eventually, the electric ice crusher found itself quietly retired to cabinets and storage shelves, only emerging for the occasional party, if at all. It serves as a relic of a time when every small kitchen task seemed to deserve its own electric solution, even when the manual method worked just fine. Few kitchen items captured the spirit of 1970s, entertaining quite like the fondue pot. With its bright colors and retro designs, it transformed dinner into a social event, a bubbling cauldron of cheese or chocolate where everyone gathered, skewers in hand. It was interactive, indulgent, and just exotic enough to feel special. But outside of parties and themed nights, the fondue pot had a hard time justifying its space. It was bulky, required an open flame or specialized heating element, and cleaning it after a gooey, melty evening was anything but fun. What felt glamorous in the moment often turned into a sticky mess the next morning. As home cooking shifted toward speed and convenience, the fondue pot faded into storage closets and thrift stores. It remains a symbol of a specific era in dining, one that prioritized experience over efficiency. Charming? Absolutely. Practical? Not so much. With its space-age look and futuristic promise, the electric knife sharpener was supposed to revolutionize kitchen prep. Just plug it in, slide in a dull blade, and voila, a perfectly honed edge. That was the idea. But in practice, the reality rarely matched the expectation. While convenient at first glance, the device often dulled blades faster than it sharpened them. The noisy grinding, combined with imprecise results, left many home cooks feeling underwhelmed. Its spherical, bulky shape also made it awkward to store, especially for a gadget that wasn't used all that often. Over time, users turned back to tried-and-true sharpening stones and handheld tools that offered better control and results. The electric knife sharpener became one of those gadgets you received as a gift, tried once, and quietly tucked away. In the end, ease of use couldn't make up for the lack of real performance. The electric wok entered kitchens with bold promises of effortless stir-frying and quick, flavorful meals. Its vibrant design and plug-and-play appeal made it seem like the perfect solution for modern home cooks. But once the novelty wore off, users were left with a clunky device that didn't quite deliver. Controlling heat was a constant battle, often leaving vegetables overcooked or meat underdone. Its non-stick surface wore down easily, and cleanup proved far more difficult than advertised. Compared to the traditional stovetop wok, simple, lightweight, and highly responsive, the electric version felt like a compromise. What started as a symbol of convenience soon became an impractical oddity, taking up valuable cabinet space. The electric wok now stands as a reminder that sometimes newer doesn't mean better, especially when the old way still works beautifully. Electric slicers and shredders once dazzled home cooks with the promise of precision and speed. Designed to handle everything from bread to cold cuts, these machines looked futuristic on kitchen counters. But beneath the sleek design was a device with more flash than function. Bulky, loud, and surprisingly limited in what they could handle, these gadgets often became more of a chore than a convenience. Cleaning them was tedious, and their performance rarely justified the space they occupied. As culinary tastes evolved and minimalist design became the norm, These slicers quickly fell out of favor. Now they serve as a curious reminder of an era obsessed with kitchen automation, when every task seemed to require a specialized machine. In hindsight, the old-fashioned knife did the job just fine.